Good evening to you. My name is Abdulrazak Ali and this is Dalsan TV, Somalia's #1 TV station for news and updates. We have a lot prepared for you today, but first let's have a look at some of our top stories. Al-Shabaab militants launch attack on Somali military base near Mogadishu. UN warns of critical juncture as civilian casualties rise. EU provides non-lethal military equipment to Somali army. Somalis rally against Israeli attacks on Gaza Strip. Katiana Liang, the United Nations Special Representative for Somalia, has described the country as being at a critical juncture with escalating civilian casualties and setbacks in the military campaign against the Al-Shabaab militant group.
Secretary General on the situation on Somalia. I now give the floor to Ms. Catriona Lang.
Mr. President, since my last briefing, I updated the Council on the situation in Lasanud on the 7th of September. Also, I briefed the Security Council Working Group on Children and Armed Conflict on the 6th of September. My briefing today will provide brief updates on 8 areas. Firstly, political developments. Secondly, Lasanud. Thirdly, security, including the ongoing offensive, stabilization and the impact of ATMIS drawdown. Fourthly, women, peace and security. Fifthly, the humanitarian situation and links to climate change. Sixthly, human rights. Seventhly, the heavily indebted poor countries initiative. And eighthly, transition. So, Mr. President, my first update is on political developments. The 27th of May National Consultative Council communique set out 4 specific proposals for a future electoral system, with moves to a presidential system, a 2-party system, one-person, one-vote throughout the country, and dates for local council elections and alignment of the federal member states' terms of office. These 4 proposals continue to dominate the political debate, and in particular, the proposed change to a presidential system and the proposed synchronization of federal member state election schedules with the implication for extension of incumbent mandates have proved to be contentious. There are particular tensions around term extensions in Southwest and Jubaland states. I continue to stress that all constitutional amendments, including a decision on term extensions, should be based on inclusive dialogue, consensus, and legislative processes. I remain concerned that Puntland has not participated in the NCC since January 2023, and I urge the Puntland state government and the federal government to seek spaces of compromise and pursue dialogue to enable the constitutional process to move ahead. The constitutional review serves as the cornerstone of Somalia's state-building agenda and is key to reaching agreement on federalism in the country. Mr. President, my second update covers Lasanud. As highlighted in my latest briefing to the Council, the conflict in Lasanud escalated on the 25th of August when the Dubba Halante militia advanced towards the town of Oog. Currently, the situation is calm and people are returning home. However, the potential for a relapse into violence cannot be ruled out. The United Nations continues to convene partners and coordinate our joint efforts towards conflict resolution. Following the 25th of August events, we issued a joint statement on the 27th of August, condemning the escalation of the conflict and calling for all involved to abide by human rights and international humanitarian law, in particular, the protection of civilians and civilian infrastructure. My team and I have had numerous engagements with all the key stakeholders, including President Bihi, President Denny of Puntland, elders, the Dubba Halante leaders, and the newly formed Sul, Sanag and KN committee. Our key messages to all parties are threefold. Firstly, to push for an immediate exchange of detainees. Secondly, a commitment to no further violence. And thirdly, to the start of dialogue. The UN is also supporting demining efforts and a humanitarian needs assessment to enable people to return home. Mr. President, my third update focuses on the security situation, where I will cover 3 issues. Firstly, the ongoing offensive against Al-Shabaab. Secondly, stabilization efforts in newly recovered areas. And thirdly, the ATMIS drawdown and its impact on the population and the UN's ability to deliver on its mandate. So firstly, the offensive. The President was in Dusamareb, the capital of Galmudug state, from the 5th of August until the 8th of October to direct the military campaign against Al-Shabaab. Despite initial success, when the Somali National Army and the allied clan militias took significant territory, there have been setbacks and operational challenges. Government forces are now focused on regrouping, reinforcing and reorganising, as well as mobilising additional support from clans before resuming large-scale operations. But in parallel, smaller-scale operations in Galmudug and Hirshabelle by the Somali National Army with ATMIS support are making progress. In response to its own setbacks, Al-Shabaab has increased the use of 107mm rockets, particularly in Mogadishu. It has also conducted targeted attacks on high-profile Somali politicians. Conflicts in Somalia continue to take a heavy toll on civilians. Last year, we saw the largest increase in civilian casualties since 2017. Sadly, early data indicate a similar trend in 2023, with 1,289 civilian casualties recorded so far. This is partly attributable to Al-Shabaab attacks, but also the conflict in Lasanud. Secondly, now to stabilisation. The main findings and recommendations of the recently completed independent assessment will inform UN future efforts and guide our work. Two issues in particular need attention. Firstly, generating sufficient police capacity to hold recovered areas. And secondly, mobilising additional resources from partners for stabilisation efforts.
The Al-Shabaab militants have attacked a Somali military base on the outskirts of the Somali capital, Mogadishu, on Friday morning. The militant fighters began the attack with a suicide bombing, followed by a gun battle at the base in Al-Shabiha.
Al-Shabaab fighters launched an attack on Somali military base located on the outskirts of Mogadishu on Friday morning. The militants initiated the assault with a suicide car bombing, followed by a fierce gun battle at Al-Shabiha base situated approximately 15 kilometers south of the capital city. While Al-Shabaab claimed to have killed 49 government soldiers during the attack, independent verification of these claims by Dalsan is yet to be obtained. Government officials have refrained from issuing any statement regarding the incident at this time. Disturbing images taken at the scene of explosion depict extensive damage caused by the powerful blast, which also impacted nearby civilian residences. The attack has once again highlighted the ongoing threat posed by Al-Shabaab group and the vulnerability of the region's security situation. This assault unfolded just one day after security forces successfully intercepted a vehicle transporting military supplies, fuel, and food intended for the Al-Shabaab militants. The interception occurred during an operation carried out in the Dawaoli village, strategically located between Hindere and Gadon towns within the Galgaduud region on Friday. Since assuming power in May 2022, President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud's government has demonstrated a steadfast commitment to combating the menace of Al-Shabaab. Under his leadership, the government has launched an intensive and relentless campaign against the militants aiming to restore peace and stability to the war-torn nation.
The Somali military has received a boost in non-lethal military equipment supported by the European Union Peace Facility. The European Commission announced on October 17 that the equipment, such with includes Sherman trucks and Toyota Land Cruiser pickups, will aid in the security transition as the African Union Transition Mission drawdown nears.
The Somali National Army has received a boost in non-lethal military equipment supported by European Peace Facility. The European Commission announced on October 17 that the equipment, which includes Sherman trucks and Toyota Land Cruiser pickups, will aid in the security transition as the Africa Union Transition Mission in Somalia, ATMIS, gradually withdraws its forces. The European Union assistance, implemented by the United Nations Office for Project Services, aims to bolster the operational capabilities of the Somali National Army, contributing to the overall goal of Somali security forces and institutions assuming full responsibility for security within the country. This objective aligns with relevant United Nations Security Council resolution and the Somali Transition Plan. The European Commission highlighted that the support primarily focuses on strengthening combat support services functions, building upon previous European Union assistance that enhanced the Somali National Army's counter-improvised explosive device capabilities, medical and life-saving capacities, command and control function, and ground transportation. Moreover, before receiving the European-funded equipment, all recipients underwent training on international human rights and humanitarian law. This emphasizes on adherence on international standards. The transfer of military equipment, financed by the European Peace Facility, was made possible after the Somali National Army infantry battalions underwent specialized training provided by the European Union Transition Mission in Somalia. This training program ensures that the Somali National Army personnel are well prepared to utilize the equipment effectively and responsibly.
Thousands of Somalis took to the streets of Mogadishu on Friday to rally against the Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strips.
Thousands of Somalis took to the streets of the capital city of Mogadishu on Friday to protest the ongoing Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip. The protesters, consisting of religious figures, youth, women and concerned citizens, voiced their opposition to the brutal bombings and expressed their support for the Palestinian cause. Amid a sea of Palestinian flags and vibrant placards bearing slogans such as "Stop the War Crime," Free Palestine, and "We demand an end to the genocide in Gaza, Palestine," the demonstrators chant the anti-Israeli and pro-Palestinian slogans. Their collective call for justice reverberated throughout the city as they demanded an immediate halt to Israel's relentless bombing campaign in Gaza. Abshir Ahmed, a determined university student who participated in the rally, expressed his motivation for joining the protest.
شعائرتنا ku muujino annagoo garab istaag u sameeyayna walaalaheena muslimiinta ee reer Falastiin dhibaatada haysata annagoo la qaybsanayna halkan oo aan uga duceeyno waxa aan maanta u wadnaa waxay tahay inaan u duceeyno ducaduna waxa weeyaan waa midka ugu qaalisan nabigeena Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalaam qaswatul qandaq markii waxa weeyaan ay gaaladii magaaladii Madiina ay hareereeyeen nabigu alayhi salatu wasalaam buurta dusheeda ayuu tagay halkaas nabigu alayhi salatu wasalaam duco aad u dheer oo markaas ku haba
attention. Asmas Mohammed, a resident of Mogadishu's Hamarwain district, emphasized the need for international action, urging the world to condemn the Israeli bombing on innocent civilians in Gaza.
Mitahay walaalaha ka soo qayb galay banaanbaxa lagu taageerayo walaalaheena dhibaatada haysata ee Falastiin iyo laga soo horjeedinaya Yahuudda dhibaatada ku haysata. Awalan waxaan leeyahay Yahuudda Ilaahay hanaga qabto, Ilaahay dhulka hala jaro sidii la yeelay qomkii oo Fircoon maamulayo kalenta warjeynayna. Mid kalenta walaalahayna waxaan leeyahay sabra waligiin sabra waayo alle inta sabarta ayo oo yani bedelkaasiya sidoo alla quraankiisa kariimka ku yirina inna ma'al usri yusra culays walba waxa ka dambe fudeed marka insha Allah waxaan idin leeyahay dadkiina niga dhintay maysan dhiman ee way shahiidan insha Allah jannadana ku kulmi doonaa dhamaanteen haddaan muslimiin.
Well, that story brings us to the end of this bulletin. My name is Abdulrazak Ali. Have a lovely evening.